Shalom everyone, I'm going to continue the fantastic series here of the Daf Yomi. Friends, we're on page number 10 of Masechet Shavuot. We're making fantastic progress. Now we're talking about, let's just say, the question is, how were the animals in the temple purchased, in the Bet HaMikdash? How were they purchased over? And what a beautiful place to say it, like by the tram line here in Haalutz here in Jerusalem. So it's actually interesting. According to the famous commentator named Rashi, the general practice in the Bet HaMikdash was to set aside 6 animals that had been checked and found to be appropriate for sacrifice, that would serve the needs of the upcoming, let's say, communal sacrifices respectively over here. This way, there was always reserves, let's say, of animals that were, let's say, for the Bet HaMikdash's needs respectively. That's how important it actually was in of itself. But Tosfot HaRosh quotes an opinion which says that it's all dependent on availability. The Kohanim in the temple try to always have a reserve of animals, and if a particularly good buying opportunity came up, they would buy a large number of animals. Now friends, according to both of these approaches, we can understand the question raised in the Gemara. What was to be done with the leftover korbanot, sacrifices, with the new, let's say, year for sacrifices beginning on the first day of Nisan respectively? When the end of Adar arrived, there would often be a pool of animals that had been set aside for sacrifices but could no longer be used, since the New Year's sacrifice had to come from the New Year's donation. So it's actually, there's an interesting opinion of the name Ula. He's going to actually weigh in over here, and he's going to quote the great Rabbi Yochanan as teaching that animals that were set aside to be used as timidim, sacrifices respectively, daily offerings, let's say, that were not sacrificed can be redeemed even though they remain unblemished. Ordinary, an animal that had been set aside to be used as sacrifice could only be redeemed in the event that it developed a blemish that would keep it from being brought on the altar. However, when Rabbah, let's just say over here, the great Rabbi, reported this teaching, Rav Chisda objected, saying, "Who will listen to you and to Rabbi Yochanan, your teacher? Where did the animals, let's say the holiness of those animals come from, respectively?" That was a question. So the expression used by Rav Chisda is interesting, as we have no record in the Gemara that Rabbi ever left Babylon for Israel to learn with Rabbi Yochanan. We don't know that that Rabbi's brother traveled to Israel, where he was, let's say, to be taken by Rabbi Yochanan's leadership, that he wrote to Rabbi that he should join him, let's just say, in Israel in order to learn from Rabbi Yochanan in of itself respectively. So that's another interesting tidbit. I've got the train coming over here, so I better get running. So wishing you all a fantastic day.